Hey, second week in November. What's going on, guys? It's getting a little colder. My mix has been a little weak, so I've got a 1.8 injector now that I'm running for the remainder of the season. The main reason I bought this was one, so I could run a little hotter mix, because some of these houses I've been washing lately have been awful, and I'm having to hit them over and over and over and over. But something that I have realized, and you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, but I've been using a Downstream injector now for about 8 years, 9 years, something like that. Maybe 10. I guess 10 years. Yeah, 10 years now. So with one of them quit messing up, or if one of them would not work right, I just buy another one. Okay, well, I got a rebuild kit for this one. Finally, I started realizing, like, I don't think my mix is that weak because the bleach is so strong smelling, but there's something going on that every time I put my soap tip in my Jrod and then into my gun, that, I mean, it acts like it's choking the machine out. My mix has been weak. Let's see, my mix has been weak. I've been having to hit houses over and over, and I did some nasty houses, but nothing like that. I mean, normally, you hit it once or twice and it's good, especially with, a little bit stronger mix. So the last time I made my 50-50 mix, I actually made it a little bit stronger than 50-50 because of that reason. Well, then I got to realizing maybe there's an issue going on with the injector. So, did a little research. I've seen the kits where you can get a rebuild kit for the Downstream injector, and it always come with the spring and a ball and an O-ring. And I would take my tip off right here, and I would say, well, heck, I take the barb off, and I go, I don't even have an O-ring in mine. Well, I started watching some videos, and I found a guy, and he had the same problem I had. When I would take this off, which is this right here, just take and break it loose. When I would take that off, normally if you have a good injector and everything is like it should be, you take it off, and as soon as you pop that, the spring and the ball will just go flying. Well, mine was wanting to stay stuck up into the barb. Under more of an investigation, the reason it was stuck in the barb is because my O-ring was wore out. So when it's sucking, when the water is pulling up and it's sucking that ball up, it sticks there instead of, I guess, bouncing like it should. But what it was doing was just letting a little bit of my mix come out. That's why my mix was weak, number one. That's why it acted like it was choking the machine down, number two. So I've had this issue now for about 2 months, and I've just, kind of sucked it up. Okay, that's just part of it. Maybe my gun needs rebuilt. I know last year I rebuilt my gun because I thought that may have had something to do with it. And but at the same time, I think I changed the spring, or maybe I think I just bought a new injector. So if you guys are having trouble with your Downstream injector pulling, there is an orifice in it, and this one was a 2.1, I believe. I mean, even though it's rusted, let's see if I can, even though it's rusted as crap right there, when you look at the hole is still fine. So it's not to where it was a problem. If you need it, I didn't even know this was inside. I keep hearing Mike and Joe Deary talking about changing the orifices and making one of this, 1.8, this one a 2.1, 2.3. I didn't have a clue what they was talking about until I watched Mike's video the other day, the Fresh Rinses video, and he took a 4mm Allen wrench and took this out of the end of the injector down here. I think it's either this end or that end. I can't remember. I think it's, well, I don't know. think maybe on that end. Either way, you stick a 4mm wrench in there and you'll catch it. But even though it's don't look so good, hey, it's gone now. But even though it doesn't look so good, it was still okay. Yeah, it's not gone. Let me get it. So, found out that was good. So then I take my barb off, and my ball was stuck up into the O-ring, and I could tap and tap and tap and tap, and that would not come out. I tried taking a pick and it wouldn't come out, and it took me getting a little screwdriver and popping it out. And what was happening was the ball was sticking up inside that O-ring where the O-ring was wore out. So the spring was still good, the ball was still good, it was just a bad O-ring. So I've been washing now, this is going on 10 years. One, I didn't know the O-ring even went up here. I think, well, if you look in here, it kind of looks like an O-ring around the top of that. And I remember seeing one time, took it apart, and I go, well, I don't even have an O-ring in there, so I don't know if that's it. But anyway, found out that my O-ring was bad. So a new injector, I got this one because I wanted to get a 1.8. But the old one that I had, let's see, what was this one? I think it's a 2.1. Yeah, the one that I normally run is a 2.1. I got this one because it's a little cooler and I wanted to run it hotter. Now that I have a little bit stronger mixture and my injector is going to pull like it should, that may be really hot when I'm washing now. But you know, if you guys wash in the wintertime when it starts getting cold, you realize that the mixture, you know, no matter what your mixture is, it takes a little longer to work. So if it, you know, pulls a little hotter, then it pulls a little hotter. So it's not going to be an issue. But that was my issue. My O-ring was bad. So if you have an issue with your injector, if you change your soap tip in your Jrod or your pull, I don't care what you're using. If you're pulling and using a Downstream injector and it sounds like it's choking the machine out, go get you a wrench and pop that off and see if your ball isn't stuck up inside of the barb. And if it is, then your O-ring is bad and you need to replace it. You may be able to even flip it because one side is going to be wore out, the other side probably isn't. But just to be on the safe side, just order you a rebuild kit. I think an injector from Pressure Tech is like $19, $21 to get a brand new one, or you can get a rebuild kit for $8 or $9. I mean, these things, this orifice here that I showed you is probably 2 years old. And I mean, it's still, like I said, it looks kind of crappy, but it's still in good shape. It's still, the hole's still there. It's still pulling like it should. It's still flowing like it should. So if you need an injector, just, you know, my opinion, instead of buying a bunch of injectors, you can get these orifices. I don't shop at Southeast or Southside Equipment, but I know Mike said you can order these on here. So all you'd have to do if you wanted to change from one to the other, instead of changing Downstream injectors, you could just take that wrench, pop it out, put a new one in, and have a say 1.8, 2.1, 2.3. Or if you just have an extra injector like I have now, you just, you know, change them out like that. But if you have issues, just check your O-ring. Normally, I think the spring in the ball is probably going to be okay. Your barb's going to be okay. But the biggest issue you're going to have is that O-ring going bad. So 10 years of washing, and I learned something new. I always like learning something new. But no matter what you're doing, like I said, if you're using a Downstream injector and it's sound like it's bogging down or choking out when you're trying to use it, your mix isn't working as quick as it should, check that ball, because more than likely that's what's going to be your issue. Or maybe your orifice is clogged up. So guys, it's been a minute. It's getting cold here in Tennessee. Well, it got cold for a week. Now it's amazing. So we're still out washing. We'll be out washing for the next couple of months, starting to clean gutters, gutter cleaning, a little bit of washing, and just finishing the season up. I think I may shut down for January and February, but it depends on how mild it is here this year too. Sometimes our Januaries are rough, sometimes they're not. So if it doesn't get too bad, I may keep everything up, and if I get a call, I get a call. Last year I cut everything off from January until March 1st, and then I just, went hot at it after that. So we'll see. We'll just have to see how the winter goes. But that's my time for today, guys. I hope y'all have had a great year and a great season, and there'll be more videos to come. See ya.